So my dad came up to me the other day. He said, "Craig, great news! I got my DNA test back." I went, "That's great, Dad." He went, "Call me George."
Cancel
Even it
Christmas.
wasn't my father.
Yeah, no more Christmas gifts.
Oh, Archie!
Oh,
It's
Edith.
the big bad broadcast! Oh, yeah!
Edith
Well,
was
good evening in podcast land. We got a great show for you today. We have Craig Mitchell.
How you doing, everybody?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I thought you were introducing me. I'm sorry.
I was, but I got carried away. We got Craig Mitchell.
Hello, how you doing?
Nice. And we have the Dean of the Clown College. We got Mike Grief.
Hey, I'm proud to be here, man. This is going to be an outstanding show.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm John Vertino, by the way, and it gives me great pleasure to bring a guy who's been on our show a couple of times, and being a child of the 60s was like a god to me. In fact, I still got my Best of Cheech and Chong CD right in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
And we have the one and only, the legendary Tommy Chong.
Yes. All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Tommy.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You
Appreciate it.
didn't mention Edith Bunker. You know, you should mention we had Edith Bunker, too.
We-
Oh, yeah,
Edith
we had-
Bunker was pretty hot when she was young. You see that?
I don't know, Tommy. Really?
Yeah.
Hey, help me, Lord. That lets you know.
I never
I'll let
heard
you know.
anyone say, geez, I'd really
Hey,
like
listen,
to bang Edith.
When actors get to the point where they're on hit sitcoms,
Right.
they've got a background that would amaze everybody. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Like, what's her name? Angela Lansbury. She was hot. She played,
Oh,
she was
man, when she was
gorgeous when she
younger?
was young. Yeah.
she was-
Lucille Ball.
was a
Yes.
doll. And the thing is,
Gene Hackman.
yeah, keep going. Yeah, Gene Hackman was kicking ass at 80.
Hell yes.
Remember, he got in a fight with some mugger or something, and he took him out, and he was like 80 years old.
Yeah, that was me. I was trying to get an autograph.
It's like my father used to say, don't fuck with old people. They don't get old by being soft.
Yeah, Buzz Aldrin punched a guy in the face. Remember that? When the guy said
Yeah.
he punched him right in the mouth.
Tommy, you
Yeah.
look great, man. You look fantastic. I know the
I feel
viewers.
great.
Yeah.
I feel great. I got a young wife, so I got a lot of reason to keep from.
Your wife is
Keep from
gorgeous. She's
hunching
a
over.
beautiful. Yeah. How much younger is she than you?
10 years.
10 years? Yeah, that's
Wow.
that's a
That's not
difference.
even that bad.
No.
I had a
But
wife
she
that
looks
I had a
like-
wife.
She looks like she's 50 years younger than me.
Oh,
I had a wife that was 22 years younger than me at one point.
damn.
People used to ask me if I taught her how to color within the line.
Yeah, but John, you were 30 at the time.
You were 30.
Oh, stop it! No, I wasn't.
I got a granddaughter now that's teaching me at my computer. We have a little art session on my iPad. And
Nice.
she's great. I pay her, of course. She's always, "Didn't want another lesson, Grandpa?"
I love it.
We
I
were
love it.
just
I got to pay
talking-
my grandson to hang out with me too. He doesn't want. He's like, "Come on, go hang out with me." No, not unless you pay me.
We were just
Yeah,
talking
damn,
about that,
damn.
Tommy. You know, we were talking about how, well, I think everybody here is over 60, is how a lot of people our age and older just can't deal with anything technical like computers. How do you
No.
do with that?
No,
yeah.
and the thing is, you got to lose your ego. You got to, get away from that. I got it. Don't worry. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. No, you
Right.
got to be stupid. You got to
Yeah.
carry it all the way through.
I would say it. I was saying what.
my 3-year-old granddaughter knows how to use my phone way better than I do.
I was
She's
telling-
3. She's
Yeah.
3.
Wow.
I was telling these guys before we came on, when everyone was cell phones and changing cell phones and no one knew how to do anything, they'd always go, "Let's just wait for your son to come home from college."
Yeah. Hey man, I still have my pager. Okay, I'm
Or
not
grade
giving it.
school. Yeah.
Well, my uncle made a fortune in Florida. He was in a retired, the over 55, one of those communities,
Yeah.
and those people don't know how to use. So he started his own thing where he would teach them how to use the computer so they can get email. He had clients all over the place. He was teaching,
And he charged him.
definitely charged them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
That's
think
the
it's
whole
so-
desire, but
I think it's
I
so.
love that system. That pay for play. You know, I love that system, and I've got a plan. I'm going to unveil it in my next movie. We got a movie. Cheech and I got a movie coming up where
Wow.
we play characters of Up in Smoke, but what happened to them today? You know,
That is so
Really?
funny. I was going to ask you about that because
That's
there's
one
a
of our
rumor going around.
questions.
And
Yeah.
well, actually, I was gonna. Well, you guys already have it, but I was gonna say, hey, man, I would love to write a Cheech and Chong movie, a sequel to Up in Smoke, call it "Smoke It Up," man.
Well, that's what it is. It's not more of a sequel, but it's whatever happened to.
Right.
And so we're going to do a lot of dramatic moves in the movie itself. But I've got a kind of like an artistic freedom, to do with my character, and I've got some surprises for the movie makers,
Yeah.
because
Are you
I'm going
directing?
to. I'm going to unveil hippies' attitude to how to fix the problems
Yeah.
Today.
of today. Problems of today, and you can do it. I saw with the insurrection, with the Trump insurrection, I saw the future, and the
Right.
future is that everybody on the planet now is a movie maker, because everybody that has a phone can make a
True.
movie,
It's
It is
true.
true.
It's true.
and everything you do is being filmed.
Yeah.
And no matter what you do, where you go, you can't get away from cameras, no
No.
matter where you are.
Yeah.
Security cameras, cop cameras, just people with cameras, kids. Well, look at the George Floyd murder, for instance.
Yeah, that was
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Right.
it was a little young 7-year-old girl that just stood there with her phone on the killing, and it was what stopped. What put the guy in jail.
The funny,
And
the
and
weird
so
thing is that.
what I see now is that with everybody being a movie maker, that makes everybody a movie actor.
Mm.
Therefore, we should govern our people like a movie studio does.
Mhm.
And the way that what a movie studio does, it pays everybody for being who they are.
Right.
If you're an actor, you get paid as an actor. If you're an extra, if you do nothing, if you can't do anything, but you're a body and you breathe, then you can be an extra, and
Yeah.
and you should be paid as an extra, whether you're being used or not. Now, the reason I say that is because people like the homeless and a lot of people that are destitute, no job, the only recourse they have is to steal from somebody else, in order to live.
Like those
Right.
flash
But
mobs.
if we pay everybody a base pay, an extra that extras get, now they don't have to steal for their food or their lodging. They can make arrangements.
They can do
And
like
so-
I did when I moved to Hollywood, and whenever I got hired to do an acting job, I lived at craft services, man, and I would take food home with me.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And you had a place to go. You had a mission to accomplish, whatever it was. You had a job to do. And at the end of the day, you went home with whatever you could carry in your little hands.
But that's
Tommy,
so
are
cool.
you
So
going to be directing this film? Are you going to be the director?
No. I'm too old. And
Hey, Eastwood does it. He's 95, right?
Tommy Chong,
Yeah, I
man,
know,
you're never
but-
too old.
but that's because that's what he is. That's what he
Yeah,
does.
that's true. Okay.
See, I'm not that. I'm more of a writer, a thinker, shit to do. Just like in Up in Smoke. I wrote Up in Smoke.
Yeah.
But if you notice, I was like more like a sidekick than I was a principal. Even though I was a principal, Cheech really was the star of the movie, and I'm really content with being, helping the star. I was always a backup guitar player. When I played guitar, I was never lead. I was always lead when I had to be, but basically my job was always backing another singer. And the better the singer, the higher we rose. And so that's what I'm saying. No,
Yeah.
what I want to do, I want to change the world from within, you
Right.
know. And like I said about movies, I mean, that's what made LA, that's what made America. It was the movies, you know. When the movies hit, then now people want to come to America because, hey, you know, land
Yeah.
of opportunity.
Well, it's incredible to hear that you guys are actually making a movie again, because that was
I'm really excited about
and
that.
and here my 2 cents, just whatever, because this is the way I was serious. I was thinking about it. I said, like I said, up instead of up and smoke it up. As about you guys owning a dispensary, and all your clients and everything are like kind of older and they can't afford their prescription drugs. So like in Up and Smoke, you guys were smuggling stuff from Mexico into the US. Now this time you're smuggling prescription drugs from Canada into the US for
Mike,
Yeah.
people.
Mike's turning this into a pitch meeting.
Hey, no,
Yeah.
no, because he's already, hey, listen, if you want, use it. But I was, like I said, it's friggin', it's an honor
Well,
just to.
Well, there again, what you hit upon. You see, we're in the reason we're not doing the movie now is that we're on strike.
Yes.
Right.
The writers are on strike. Everybody's on strike. Now, the writers are on strike because they're getting aced out of the money,
Yep.
which they always did
Yeah.
from the beginning. The writers were the least honored, but the most important people, because if it's not on the page, it's not on the stage.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
I think the actors get
Yeah.
pretty well screwed too, but
Yeah, but that's the American system. You see,
I mean,
that's
there's so
a
many different
capitalist system.
platforms now. There's so many different platforms, streaming platforms, broadcast, film, and
Yeah.
it gets diluted, and their money gets less and less the more it's seen, and that doesn't seem right.
Well, someone's
I-
making money. Someone's
You know-
making money. Someone's
Yeah,
making a
you're right.
lot of money.
oh yeah.
You know, I always think about
the Bitcoin people. The Bitcoin people. There you go. You can be a Bitcoiner, and if you got the right product, you're a millionaire overnight.
yeah.
But be careful. Just
Right.
like the doctors. Back a couple of decades ago, they were the ones that created San Francisco, and now San Francisco is almost shut down.
Right.
Yeah.
The world changes.
That's it. The
Everything-
Bitcoiners, they go from being billionaires one day to being broke the next day.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah.
You know, I always think, Tommy, what about the poor bastard that served 20 years in jail for a roach and gets out and gets a marijuana medical card? That's enough of a head fuck.
Here's what you got to understand is that we are eternal beings. See, most of us, we only can see as far as our eyes will take us.
Right.
And so we don't know the mechanism behind the human existence.
Yeah.
You see, there's a few prophets and a few, forward-thinking people that do know and do care, and thus the Bible was written. All the different religions took on that eternal, the quest, the meaning of eternity,
Yeah.
and so
Too
what
bad they didn't stick with the spiritual though, because I think Bible and those kind
Well,
of things were written to keep people in line.
that doesn't no, it's also it's to keep people in line that don't understand.
Mhm.
You see, if you're given too much information, it's called spoiler alert. You see, that's why most prophets and holy men, they all got one thing in common. You know what that is? The cosmic giggle. There's a cosmic giggle when they say, when people ask them, what is the meaning of life? They giggle. Why? because they, even though they know the meaning of life, they can't tell anybody else until they're ready to accept the truth. You see, most people on the planet, they're not ready to accept the truth.
Yeah.
Most people are, why we're put here on the planet? To take care of the planet.
See, we're doing a hell of a job, huh?
Well, it goes back and forth. It goes back and forth. We're doing a hell of a job evolving, but then there's a lot of us that they're not evolved, and for rightly so, because if everything happens too fast, the slower ones don't have a chance to catch up.
Right.
So everything. That's why Earth has been going around the sun for ever.
Well, I drive a hybrid, so I'm doing my part.
Yeah, so far you're part of it. Anyway, you're doing half of your part.
I have
I'm
it.
happy
I've got
about-
so my house is solar.
Yeah, yeah. And so you're evolving, we're evolving, and the fact that we're talking, about spiritual matters, that's another evolution.
Yeah.
But what I learned is you have to respect people's ignorance.
You
Wow.
think so? I mean, well,
hard to do that.
I
And
see
you
what
know
you're
why?
saying. Yeah.
Because it's like you're in high school, and then a third grader comes up to you and says something stupid. What are you going to say? Oh, you're a dumb? Or are you going to say,
No.
that's good, you're learning? you know,
But some people will well, it seems that they'll never evolve, that they just stay
it's not our
stuck
job
in.
to judge. You
Right.
see, that's the secret I learned. And I'm learning every day. I'm learning.
Yeah.
I got to the commandment of judge not, and all of a sudden I got hit with the strangest epiphanies. What it means. If you don't judge, then you can enjoy everything on earth every day without judgment.
Yeah.
Even the worst, even like cigarettes, for instance. Eventually it'll give you cancer. But if
But they are smooth.
But if you're an avid smoker, like I used to be, you
Right.
understand the joys that smokers get
Yeah.
after initially puking their guts out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's an experience, life experience. And what you want people to do is experience life as much as you can, because we're only here for a short period of time
Tommy,
to do just that.
let me ask
Yeah.
you a question. You really spurred a question to me, and I think I'm really look forward to your answer. Do you think you can be spiritual and an atheist at the same time?
Spiritual, yes, because atheists, they're just denying the version of God that people are trying to put on to them.
Yeah. That's
But they feel and I understand that totally. Well, you take it, if you're not Jewish, you're not Jewish, and all of a sudden you encounter a Jewish situation, and if you're not a Jew, you got nothing to do with it.
Right.
So what's going on here? And that's with all these other, because they're tribal laws, you see. But here's what I found out, and I can tell you guys, because you're seekers too, like myself. There are only two kinds of people on earth, and it's like electricity.
Mm.
What makes electricity? Positive and negative.
Negative.
Wow, that is
Okay.
so. It's so
And
funny
what's
you'd say that.
positive and negative, when they hit, they create energy due to the fight between the
Right.
positive and negative.
The pole,
which
yeah.
will never, the positive will never be negative. Negative will never be positive. That creates energy in
Energy
in
and
the
heat.
physical world.
Energy and heat.
So check this out. People tend to be negative
positive.
or positive.
Yeah.
Or a little bit of both in between. Some are a little positive at times, a little negative at times. The balanced ones, the ones that are balanced, the ones that can understand both sides of an argument. But if you don't judge, then you can be on the sidelines enjoying everything.
Yeah. It's so
Because
funny you say that.
if life is about mistakes, then I'm enjoying life like unbelievable.
You've
'Cause
summed
I've
up
made
my
more
whole
mistakes
spiritual
in my life.
experience.
Yeah, I've made more mistakes in my life than I can count.
Yeah.
But
You've summed up my spiritual, my beliefs, my whole spiritual. Because like I said, I don't believe in the man in the sky. I believe in that God or good orderly direction, whatever it is, rivers of energy, negative and positive, flowing one way, one flowing the other way. And depending on which river you choose to swim in or whatever, that's it. It guides and everything that the way you think and the way you look at life.
Yeah, well, that was my thing. I couldn't figure out a lot of things, because especially about prayer, because there's spiritual books that tell you that if you keep your mind on God, good things will happen for you. He will perfect that which concerns you. That's what the scripture says. So if you keep your mind on God and he will perfect that which concerns you, well, that explains the rap culture, for instance, the rappers,
Right.
This guy comes up with a poem about the cops beating the shit out of him and everything else, and everybody else, hey, that's good. Oh, that sounds good, man. Let's make a record. Let's do that. Now, what he's doing is actually contrary to all the social norms, but what he's doing, he's speaking a truth,
Right.
and that truth resonates. And when it resonates with people, now everybody else understands that truth. And now you charge $1 an album, the guy's rich,
Yeah.
because he sang a truth that other people related to. You see, now that truth about telling the cops to fuck off, or telling authorities, leave me alone, don't be torturing me for no reason other than I'm black, that in itself becomes a learning moment for all of us, for some of us. Now, there's a lot of us that will go through life stupid, because that's who we are.
And some
on the
people will
planet.
never, some people will never see the truth because they choose not to see it, because they can't believe it's that simple.
Yeah.
That it's just a
But-
matter of opening your eyes.
But
And
they're
stupid
only
people don't know they're stupid.
yeah, we're only here for a little while, including the stupid people.
Yeah.
And then when they transition, they come back, they might be a little smarter and they may not be. But don't forget, our job is to populate the planet. Okay. Now, when the planet gets overpopulated, then guess what? All of a sudden, your child becomes a tranny. You got gays in the family. That's the way it works. That's the way it works, because civilization itself knows how to create a population that doesn't
Right. Population
explode.
control.
Yeah.
It controls itself subconsciously, is what you're saying. It sounds like to me.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That's why the most important to me now, I've evolved to the point where no judging. Don't judge the meal. And I have a hard time with that, because I was just in Italy, and people say, well, how'd you like Italy? Well, the food wasn't that great. And, and everybody freaks and go, what? Food?
I just did
Italy?
that. I went, what?
Well, figure it out. I'm from the elite class, okay? And so when I eat in LA, I eat at the best restaurants with the best food, the best cooks, everything. Okay. Now I go to Italy, I'm a tourist, and the tourists are going to.
I agree totally with you. When I was in Italy, I come from an Italian family. When I was in Italy, I was like,
what?
This is not what's cracked up to be.
This isn't Italian food.
Right. But see, that's like you said, that's judging, because it's like we're used to American Italian food. Now
That's it. That's it. Not tourist Italian food.
Yeah.
Because I was over in Italy with an artist friend, and she cooked out of her old Italian farmhouse with a fireplace in the kitchen, and
nice.
we cooked out of that fireplace that was chest high, by the way, so it was meant for cooking.
Oh,
and
nice.
I've never had a better meal in my life. Open fire.
Tommy, I have a
Are
food question, Tommy, actually, and it kind of I've been wanting to ask. Actually, somebody, Brett Jacobs, actually sent this question in. He goes, you're famous, of course, for up and smoking pot. Okay, is there a specific food that you like to eat, like a munchy food, when you're high? Do you have a go-to food?
Almond croissants.
Really?
Nice. Nice choice.
And almonds are good for you.
Oh man.
Wow, that is refined. You know,
found
most
I
people go
found-
for Chinese food or pizza. Tommy's like almond croissant.
I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that.
almond croissants and a coffee.
That is
Oh,
refined
man.
taste.
Almond milk latte.
I
And
love
I got a place I go to all the time. And of course, there's a real beautiful waitress there. I mean, that's part of the charm. But I go there and I get my almond croissants. And when I buy two, one for my wife and one for me. And I usually end up eating both of them eventually.
I think I had that. Do you know where Aroma is? Aroma Cafe. I think that's where I had something like that once. So
Oh,
In
it's-
LA?
yeah, Aroma. I think it's on. It's right across
That's in the
street from
valley, man.
Vitello's. It's across from Vitello's. I forget the street.
Oh, yeah, on Ventura Boulevard.
No,
Yeah.
it's on. I think it's on.
it's
Tonga.
not far off Ventura. It's on
Yeah.
what is it? It's a little
I
bakery
don't-
cafe. It's
Yeah,
anyway.
it's got great,
Oh, is it
great
NoHo?
coffee like that.
North.
Yeah, it's close to North. It's more
that's-
Studio City than NoHo. But
That's
yeah.
so funny. I would have answered it in a whole different way, man. If
Almond
I'm like
croissant.
when I was high, it was a bulk munchie, man. I'd be eating like a couple of dozen White Castles. You know what I mean? Just swallowing them in bulk. You know, it's got
White Castles, they give you those gnarly farts, though, man.
Yeah, but you know, you talk.
You,
You know,
eat a White Castle and everybody goes, I smell Detroit here.
but you know what? It's like when you were 18 and 16, your
Oh.
munchy things are a lot different than they are now.
Oh,
I remember in New York, I was telling these guys the other day, we would drive 20 miles to go to Jack in the Box.
Oh,
just
yeah.
just to talk to that little guy.
Yeah, the taste change, man. Taste change.
Yeah.
I was telling these guys that
When
when
Cheech and I were on the road one time, we asked this college kid, a good place to eat. He says, "Well, there's a great Jack in the Box down the road."
There you go.
I was telling these
Cheech
guys,
and I
I-
looked at each other. We said, "We're in college town."
Yeah,
I know.
for sure.
I was
man.
telling these guys I used to hang out at this guy's house, right? This is back in the 60s, and he was a bouncer at this club that we used to go to, and he was this huge guy. He looked like a lumberjack. I mean,
Yeah.
he was probably 6'6", big beard, and he always wore like overalls. He looked like Johnny Appleseed. And
Yeah.
you'd go to his house, right? And in his living room, hanging from the ceiling, he had pieces of yarn stapled to the ceiling with bulldog clips on them. So that when you were smoking, you didn't even have to, you would just go like this. And it would
And pass
So
it.
he'd clip
swing
his
over.
roaches.
I know
to
you
little
can't see it,
pieces
but it
of
would
yarn.
like he would just cook
Oh,
like a little
that's funny.
bulldog clip. He'd hook it to the yard, and then they were flying all around the room. They were falling around the room. You just grab one when it went by.
I love that.
That
And
is
he was
so
he
fun.
was just the funniest guy, and it was.
I'm
just
going to
so-
use that. I'm going to use that in the movie.
That'd be
Yeah.
great. You should.
Yeah.
You
I
should.
walk by and there's a joint hanging there. Just pick it up.
That
Yeah,
is hilarious.
and like, and you want to pass it to the next guy, you just kind of slide it over.
There you go.
Well, I've been making these. You see, these are little joint holders,
Right.
and you put the joint in there, and then you get some a lighter. See,
Oh,
Look at that, like a cigarette holder
hmm
for joints.
so that way you smoke it all the way down to the roach without. Oh, look at that.
Ah, look at that, man. Leave it to Tommy Chong to invent that, man. That is
so what you
freaking
can
cool.
do, you can just
You just stand it up.
Wow, hanging on the thing.
it just sits there,
Wow.
see, waiting for you. It's a little joint
Nice.
jockey.
See, now this is why we need to go back to being in studio, because it's like right now we could be doing puff puff pass. which
So
is,
wait,
you know.
so I just got to tell you this quick Steve story, right? This is how we met the guys. So remember back in like the early 70s, you guys won't remember, you're not old enough, but in the early 70s, there was like everything was an English pub. It was like everything, every pub was English with armor and fake things. So my friend and I are blasted out of our minds. We're sitting at a table, right? And we're going, and he goes to me, "All right, man, like we're kings and this is our castle. right?
Oh, yeah, you're
Right.
in an English.
Yeah, we're in this English
Anyway.
pub, right? We're sitting at a
Okay.
table, and all of a sudden, this guy walks in with like a little leather jacket and a little beard. My friend goes, I look at my friend, I go, "Oh, look, Sir Lancelot's back from battle." Right? And then there's a girl in a peasant dress dancing, and he goes, "The village girl's here," and we're just like, and we're just cracking up, and we're just jamming about this being in this castle. This guy Steve, who we don't know at the time, comes up, kneels down in front of us, grabs my hand, and goes, "Oh, you are a good king." And it's like it just freaked us out. It just
Well, that's
freaked us
English.
out.
The English invented acting, by the way.
Right.
Well, like
I mean,
Shakespeare.
the Greeks were the first,
Right.
but
Right.
it was the English that took it to the stage and to which we know now is Broadway.
The Globe
The Globe,
Theater.
the Globe
Music
Theater.
hall. It was a music hall. That's where
Wow.
Charlie Chaplin come up with.
Oh,
Yeah, so the pub was always a place where you went to entertain.
Yeah, and and in England when you go to like the Globe Theater and you walk around and they start showing you like all the stuff, all the terms that came from it. Like back then there was no dressing room, there was a bunch of shrubs, and that's where the expression green room came from.
Yeah. Oh, the green room.
Yeah.
Where they kept the shrubbery.
And then when men used to play women and they would be queens and stuff, and they wear these big wooden outfits, so they'd have to be lifted on stage with a crane.
Sure.
And they would call them drag queens because they'd have to lift them up with a
Wow.
crane.
Yeah, well, that's where the drag queen came.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, look at
pretty
that. You
cool.
learn something from John every day.
I love
John is
that.
just an encyclopedia.
Hey, John, I'll
of
give you
knowledge.
one.
Yeah.
You know the term drugstore?
Right.
Yeah.
You know where that came from?
No, where?
No.
From Amsterdam.
Right.
And when they cut down the pot, they would take it, it would have to be dried.
Right.
So they would take it to the drug store to dry.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And after a while, when you wanted to buy your weed, you went to the drug store.
Drug.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
And eventually it became drug store.
Oh, that's funny.
Wow, look at it. Our audience is learning all kinds of cool stuff today. And
Isn't
so
that
am
cool?
I.
I'm
It
just,
is
I'm just,
cool.
I'm just honored that Tommy feels comfortable around us to actually fire one up on the air. That's fantastic.
But I wish I was with him. So I mean, like, all right,
Yeah.
I got to admit, I'm clean and sober
You know,
for a long
we
time.
can't get a
but-
contact high on Zoom. It's
This is my
bad.
dilemma. This is my dilemma, right? I used to love smoking pot. I mean, I would smoke pot all day long. I mean, I would, and it was that.
Never heard of anything like that, John.
No,
What are
it
you
was like
talking
that.
about?
It was that Mexican weed that you could smoke all day long, and you just
Mer-
got silly and
commercial
stupid and
stuff.
laughed. Right?
It's the same weed.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, it is. It's so strong now.
It's the same. No, it's the same. Nothing's strong. No,
It smells way stronger. I don't know. I'm
It's-
afraid.
Maybe your
I'm
tolerance
afraid to
is
smoke.
maybe your
it.
tolerance
Maybe
is
it's,
less.
maybe the weed you
No,
got.
back in the day, we had hash. Remember hash?
Yes.
Oh my god, that was my favorite.
You know what hash was? Hash is condensed marijuana.
Right.
Right.
You take a big block of marijuana and you squeeze it down into the little bit of block of pure THC. That shit will put you away, put you in a
It was,
coma.
it was like, yeah, there was the
Memories.
blonde, there was the blonde and the black tar.
See, I've
Yeah,
been,
yeah,
so, I've been,
Now
I've been
Tommy and I are
sober.
in a different
I've
level.
been sober 20, I've been sober 26 years, but if Tommy Chong passed me a joint, I can't say I wouldn't smoke it with him.
I would pass you a joint, but I would never pass you alcohol
There you go.
Thank you.
There you
because
go.
that's the
know what?
alcohol is the
You've
only
got a
problem.
beautiful heart. I can tell you have
But-
a beautiful heart, Tommy.
But he'd be passing it to you on a piece of yarn.
Yeah, you see, I just swing it towards you. That'd be
It's
great.
just like teasing.
I would love
Yes,
to
it's-
see that.
Pass
would
it to me
love
with
to
a
see that.
quaalude.
I would love to see that in the movie. That would crack me up.
Hey, listen,
Oh,
I had a
man.
friend. I had a friend that was dying of leukemia
Right.
in the hospital in New York, and he had a sneak. He's dying, right?
Right.
He had a sneak to get high because the doctors or whatever it is where he was, they had they didn't know illegal activities going on.
Oh, it's illegal.
And
There.
dying of cancer, and they don't want him to smoke a joint.
That's crazy.
Well, you can nowadays you can do edibles, so they wouldn't even know you're doing it.
Yeah. Well,
So-
if they're doing it, what business is it of anybody's to interfere with medicine that's going to help a cancer victim?
Totally
I had a-
agree, but the whole thing about fire around oxygen scares me.
Well, along these lines, I wanted to ask I did promise a lot of people, that I would ask you some questions because, we put it out there. And one of them is the character. And now, so it's not obviously a character, it's you, the, man. One person, Michael Graham, wanted to know what was your inspiration for the man character? I mean, what put that in your head?
What I wanted to do, I wanted to make a statement with Up in Smoke. And what we did, we took the lowrider character and Cheech's character. He was a lowrider, okay?
Right,
So
right.
I wanted the opposite. And so I played a rich Jewish offspring, the son of a rich
Brother
Jewish
Martin.
rich Jewish family, yeah.
Right.
And I'm Anthony. And the reason I call myself man was from a Miles Davis biography, where they invented the word man because back after the slavery, they used to white people used to call black people boy, no matter how old the guy was. It would boy, get over here, boy, do this, boy, that.
Right.
And so Miles Davis, they started calling each other man. Hey, man, what's going on, man? What's happening?
Wow.
And so I adopted that phrase, that man phrase, purposely, because it was a reaction to slavery. Slavery time.
That is so
and
cool.
the fact that I was Jewish, a Jewish hippie,
Right?
Long-haired hippie.
I'm a Jewish biker.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And I all that was, I wrote it. So I wrote that purposely, for that. I wanted that opposite, that electricity, that positive, negative, and then so we had the opposites, we had the low rider and then the Jewish rich kid,
Very cool.
and they get together and they make music and they make
so
great,
cool. So and another guy, this guy's a retired sheriff from Kentucky. His name Chris Eaton. He wants to know, what's your favorite Cheech and Chong movie?
Ooh, that's like asking which one of his.
If you still, I don't know if you still watch it or still love them or still
favorites, but I have to say Still Smoking.
Wow.
Because what we did in Still Smoking, we did a lot of acts that Cheech and I performed on stage. We couldn't do them. We were going to lose them forever. And so we made a film of them, like the Invisible Wrestler and all these different characters that we played, the Queer Wars, all those great characters.
Why were you going to lose them
forever?
Why are you going to lose them?
They worked before.
Well, because you quit performing.
Right.
You see, once you quit performing, the act dies.
But
in the film, they live forever. And so that was, although I liked all the movies I did, I got a nice compliment from Quentin Tarantino on the Corsican Brothers. He as a movie maker, he told me, he said, "You nailed it." And that's a good compliment.
Oh, wow. Well, that leads into a question that actually Jeff Kirshner had. He wanted to know, is there a possibility that you and Cheech may ever do another comedy album or recording?
Probably not.
Yeah.
That boat sailed,
I was actually going to use that. I was going to say that.
Plus, right?
That dog won't hunt. Is that what they say?
Well, plus the fact is,
it's kind of a
their
lost
comedy
art
routine. Well, their comedy routine wasn't just something that they sat down and went out and did. It was something they performed forever. So it's hard to just come up with a bit and start doing on an album, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
Well, what we did, we always reflected the time and the age of who we were at the time, and it was all about recording history, basically. This is where we're at the time, and this is the best way to record it. Now, back in the day, a comedy album was great because you had radio and you had a lot of people listening. And nowadays, you can do everything, on your iPhone.
It's such a great memory, though. So I remember we would sit around the turntable. We would put on the record, and we would just laugh until we couldn't breathe. It's such a great memory,
Wasn't that the best feeling in the world?
Oh, man.
It was, man.
Like I said, and I mentioned this the last time you were on the show, but it's just the truth. I grew up in the housing projects in New York, the
Oh,
Ravenswood projects. And and some guys would walk around with the radios with the big ghetto blasters.
yeah,
We walked around with them with blasting Cheech and Chong or Richard Pryor and stuff like, that it was just that's what we would
comedy.
get high and listen to you guys all day long.
Well, I remember seeing you guys live at Westbury Music Fair, and it was just
Oh, right.
it was so amazing. I mean, I think you opened with the poodles.
With the
You
doggies.
with the
Yeah.
dogs. He came walking down the aisle as dogs.
Oh my
I
God.
was like, this is amazing.
Well, here's a question, and this is a question again. I hate to like whatever, but it's from another a guy who's a huge fan of the show, and he just when he found out you were on the show, he really kind of flipped out, and he just asked. His name is Rob DeMarco, and he wants to know if you ever thought about serious roles, like being a serious role, and I'm sure you have done stuff that was serious, but was it ever a thought to be like a regular kind of movie star, regular dramatic thing like that?
No, what you're talking about is a lead character.
Yeah,
And I was never a lead character all my life. All my life, I spent my musical career backing up singers. I was a rhythm guitar player, and even though it was my ideas that created everything, the clubs and everything else, they came. I was like the writer, but the people that I needed people who to execute, like to run the club. My brother ran the nightclubs, and then Cheech, like I said, Cheech was like the main character with Cheech and Chong,
right.
you know, and it wasn't until I got just doing stand up by myself and with my wife that I became into myself, and really what I am is like, stand up comic, basically.
Yeah.
That's what and you can't hide behind anybody else when you're doing comedy.
No,
True.
No.
You're
Tommy,
out
the
there.
most dangerous thing there
Yeah.
is.
Tommy, do you know the
it's-
movie? Do you know the
and-
movie? Are you familiar with Bill and Ted's Great
Yeah.
Adventure? All right, so they did a third one, and they couldn't bring Rufus back because George Carlin played it, and he had passed away.
Yeah.
My thought was, and I think I put it on Facebook, that you would have been a perfect person to put in that role, like the Rufus role, or maybe his cousin. Did anybody ever approach you? Because that just seems like a no-brainer to me.
I was on Carlin's show when he had his own show a couple of times.
Oh,
And George was conflicted. He was always conflicted with himself. He was a musician first. He played the hell out of the piano. He was a
Wow.
pianist
Did not know.
and a singer, and so that's where he came out of that school of music and that's why he could do such great things with words and that, because he had that musical ability.
He says, right? Didn't he say that Cheech made like a comment about that we got rid of George Carlin for the 80s? That's what he talks about. He talks about it in his book. He said that in the 80s. I remember he was doing all that word stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, like, why is it hysterectomy? It should be a herorectomy.
yeah.
And then in some interview in Rolling Stones, Cheech said, oh, thank God we're done with the 80s. We're done with
George Carlin.
yeah, George was done with Miraball's platform shoes and George Carlin. And he
Wow.
claims that he took that as the most insult he's ever had in his life, but thanked him for it.
it lit a
'Cause
fire
he
under his
said
ass.
he stopped doing comedy for 2 years and decided that he was going to become the greatest comic ever and just
Wow.
wrote like a crazy person.
George did that
Yeah.
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 after Cheech
Yeah.
insulted him.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good.
And it wasn't just Cheech, because I guess Second City did a thing where the two of them were walking around.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everything the guys saw, he would do like a George Carlin word play on it. You know what I mean? And he was like really got insulted. And then that was like the final. I just read this whole article in the Rolling
Yeah,
Stone
Second City
about it.
TV did that. They
Yeah,
totally trashed him. Yep.
Well, Second City and the committee, they hated Cheech and Chong, because when I created Cheech and Chong when I saw Second City. I saw Peter Boyle doing on stage doing Second City work, and then that's what I got turned on in Chicago. I got turned on to accidentally, and I ended up walking into the Second City Theater. And then from that moment on, I was a big improvisational theater fan. And so I went to the Second City in San Francisco, which was the committee at the time. And I actually watched Howard Hessman when he was the head of
great stuff.
the committee, and then years later, when I became Leo on that '70s show,
Yeah.
I had to do a show. Howard Hessman was like they did a nostalgia show, and Hessman was going to be in the show, and Hessman really, because unapologetically hated Cheech and Chong. And it's probably me especially, because I was the one that saw his act, and we actually copied a lot of Howard Hessman and the committee stuff. That's where we got the doggy routine from. It was from the committee.
Oh wow!
And we got a lot of routines from the committee themselves. Wow. But the thing is, I'm a musician. I'm an old musician, and I started my career learning other people's songs.
Right.
I never wrote,
who would you say were your comedy influences? I mean, I know you said you were a musician, and so that, but I mean, were there comedians like when you were growing up?
Big time. Like Red Fox. Red Fox was probably the first. He was the first comedy album guy I ever heard.
You got to
Red
wash
Fox.
your ass.
Yeah, no, even before that. No, the best Red Fox was my dick. The race and the horse called My Dick. My dick's coming up the rear. My dick's followed by wet towel. Wet towel. It's my dick and now wet towel.
I had a friend of mine that was he was in Miles Davis band, right?
Yeah.
And they had some time off. He was the first trumpet in the Miles Davis band. So
wow.
So he went, they saw that they were having an audition for a band for Red Fox's show in Vegas. So he goes, I was so cocky, I showed up without even my trumpet. Right? And I go, I'm the lead trumpet. And they go, you got the job. So the guy gives him the music, and it's just the music from, yeah. So he goes, it's like ridiculous. So he says, but the band director's going, at no time, take your eyes off of me. Don't take your eyes off of me. And he's going, why? So it's like,
said that?
What?
Who said that?
No, the band leader for it.
Yeah,
so he says it's his first night, and he's sitting on the side of the stage, the curtains closed, and all of a sudden he goes, and now, ladies and gentlemen, you hear a kettle drum. Dunk, 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 dunk. A man whose comedy career has spanned over 4 generations. Boom, 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 boom. A man who is a legend of comedy. Bing! A man who's a legend. He's been on a TV show for 10 years. Bing! He's like, and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, the comedy monster, Mr. Red Fox here. Curtain opens. There's 6 people in the audience at 2 a.m. Red Fox walks in and goes, I don't work for no motherfucking 6 people. And leader goes, 1, 2, 3.
Walk them off. Oh my God, that's so funny.
So Tommy, I'm sorry,
like 3 times a month.
Tommy, I'm going to embarrass myself because I never got to ask this question.
Well, you do that every time you walk out the door, Craig. But anyway,
yeah, but that's when I'm naked. So leave me alone.
I'll stop judging. We're not judging.
When you did the last season of that '70s show, you were in the opening credits, right? When they go hanging out. And at the very end, there's Ashton Kutcher screams, "Hello, Wisconsin!" It's like off and echoey. And I remember watching that for the first time. This really attests to your comedy, your timing, and your instincts. Because I don't laugh really that out loud at shows, but when he screams that at the end, after they come on you and you look up like you don't know where it's coming from, every time it just kills me. Your timing is perfect. Like you have no idea. Like it's like this. Hang what the I always wanted to say that. That's one of my favorite moments.
You know what's so funny? Like comics, you get that. Like Rodney was like, "I get no respect." Everyone has like their tag, but it's so funny. Like your whole iconic thing is if all you have to do is go, "Hey man." It's like everyone knows.
Hey, man, every time I do coke, man, you get on that. Like,
it's like it's just so funny. Hey man,
that's
I found a Hey Man bit in this movie. I did a movie called Far Out Man.
Right.
Just with myself, my wife, and my kids, and everybody. It's a fun movie, and we were looking through everything, and I was that was the movie we were looking through, and then I realized the guy that was showing me all the cuts, he showed me an outtake of Nice Dreams.
Right.
And in the Nice Dreams, the cops had shot up the clown.
Hey man, you
Right.
shot my clown.
Thing.
I love that. It's my favorite scene.
And then the cops decided, they're going to let us go. Evelyn, they wanted to go get a little Evelyn, and so they're saying, okay, you can go now. And then I I act like we got busted, and I said, oh no, you can't let us go, man. I know my right.
That's my favorite scene, man.
Oh man, because you got this YouTube thing out about guys having trouble with cops, and that's perfect. So
I love it. You're like angry at him, and you're going, "No, man, you shot my clown." I was like,
yeah.
It's
No,
genius.
you can't let us go now. I know my rights.
Yeah. Hey, I
part.
got one more question for you, Tommy, and this one might actually help me get laid. So, I mean, if you really, my wife's an actress, and she was up for a part in a commercial for a Fiber One. She had a couple of callbacks, and it was a Fiber One commercial with you. And she wanted me to ask you if you ever did that commercial, if you ever wound up shooting a commercial for Fiber One.
No, I never did.
All right. Well, she'll feel
But
better
you-
now because she won't think she was like just
No.
But you do have the Cheech and Chong cruise shoes, right?
Ooh, I got them right here.
Yeah. You
They're right
tell us a
here.
little about that and where people can get it.
Well, you can get them legally practically everywhere.
Well,
you
Chong
get them
got it.
online.
Yeah, I get my Tommy Chong stuff online. Yeah, I got my right here. I got my my good vibes.
Yeah.
And I've got my Tommy Chong CBD oil.
And we'll put the website in
the
the show
cruise shoe.
description. What do you know the website off the top of your head?
No idea.
Or I'll put it in
Isn't
the
it
link.
get
I'll put it in the link.
getchong.com, isn't it?
Let's see, my eyes are so bad I can't even see it.
Because I get the emails too from you from that whole
there
thing. I
you
think
go.
it's getchong. Is it try get chong?
Oh, it's got a message here. It says, "Google it, motherfucker."
Google it. Google, do the work yourself,
Wait,
you
wait.
prick bastards.
Wait, let's go back to that joint that you were smoking. Can we see that? I know we're all on. It's like,
This one?
yeah.
That
Did you roll that? You didn't roll that, did you?
Yeah. Oh, no. I got papers, and I have to fill them.
Right.
So what do you have, like
Yeah,
one of those
yeah,
little
yeah,
rolling
fill 'em.
machines?
You fill them up, and
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I was
fill
going.
'em up.
I was thinking to myself, that's 50 years of perfection.
Isn't that great? I do roll. Let's see. I got some.
And they
rolls
ain't
somewhere.
small either, brother. They ain't small.
No.
No, I
But
roll them for.
that's another one of my favorite lines in
here they
in
are.
Smoke when Cheech is reaching for a joint in his pocket. He goes, "No, that's my dick." And you go, "Oh man, I hope your dick's bigger than that." You know?
High stick.
Oh man, no.
Well,
that's
that
my
was a lot of
dick.
years of stand up.
Yeah.
That bit started off. It was about 2 minutes long, and it ended up being a 90-minute movie.
Yeah. Hey man, thank you for making my childhood. Thank you.
Oh yeah, so much.
Mike
Well,
does.
my
Mike.
pleasure.
Mike.
Thank you
Mike's
for all the money we got out of it. So.
Mike will
Totally
be
worth it.
embarrassed now, but Mike does the best Cheech ever.
No, I
Well,
just
you
had
do.
Denver. Yeah.
You do.
Hey
you
man,
do.
you gave our money to the hamburger guy, man. What's some?
Oh yeah, good one.
That's pretty good, man. I think
You
it's
see
good.
where Paul Rubin died, huh?
Oh
Yeah, yeah, so
Yeah.
sad.
Pee Wee.
Love
Pee-wee.
Pee-wee.
Pee Wee Herman,
Pee Wee
man.
Herman.
He was well. He wasn't. He was didn't he start out with the Second City or something like that, or
Groundlings.
Groundlings? Right, right.
Yeah.
No, you're
he-
talking about Howard Hessman. Howard Hessman used to be the manager of the Whiskey A Go Go.
Was
He
he?
was?
Yeah, because I worked with Crosby, Stills, and Nash for 10 years, and when David got married, we did a roast, and I got I got a telegram saying, "Okay, you're going on after Jackson Brown and before Howard Hessman." It's like, what? Right? And I figured, well, how funny can these guys be? They were both hysterical. But Howard Hessman was, he says, as you all know, he goes, I was the manager of the Whiskey A Go Go, and bands would come in for $100 a night. I had a kid from Miami, and Janis Joplin. He's talking about all these people. He goes, and all the acts got 100. He goes, David, you got 100 too, and I'm going to tell you tonight, I was actually paying everybody 200.
Oh.
You were the only one that got 100.
Howard
like,
did that?
yeah, he was really funny, man, and he was going. And then David had like all this, like, I forget what you call it, probably from sucking Freebase for a million years. Yeah. And then Howard just got really like, he's going, yeah, look at David. He goes, I knew him before he looked like a burn victim.
Wow.
And Graham's walking around going, ooh, it's getting a little cold in here. I better open the window. I mean, he was just going off on him. He was pretty funny, though.
Tommy,
but with me, he after the show, the tradition was that we'd take bows,
right?
And they'd always bring me out last because I always got the biggest applause. And so I was wondering, is Howard going to go through all that rigmarole with me? But he never. He left. He didn't stay for the whole ending, and he left. We never did make up, or I never really did get to meet him,
right.
Other than steal all his bits that I could.
Hey, like you said, songs, and I know when I did stand up, that was the rule, is you don't steal anyone's material, because comics get, and I did too, because I was a character, so I wrote my stuff specifically so that you couldn't steal it, because if you could steal it, then I wasn't writing good enough.
There's
it was never generic.
Mike had the best. I'm going to embarrass him. Mike had the best opening line of any comic I've ever seen. He would come out looking like the scariest biker dude in the world, and he would just stand in front of the microphone and visibly get pissed off at nothing, and get more and more angry, and then look at the audience and go, "You ever be beating the shit out of somebody, and halfway through you forget why?"
What's embarrassing? You got to stop and ask the guy, "Hey, why was I kicking your ass?" Oh, that's right. You threw my comics away when I was a kid. Thanks, Dad.
When I had an improv group, you talk about you were talking about the committee. We developed an improv game called Top 5, and it was based on David Letterman's Top 10. So in that sense, we kind of borrowed the premise from Letterman, but we made it our own. So I'm assuming that's what you mean.
I mean, who was it? Milton Berle said there is nothing. I don't necessarily buy it, but what do you think about it? Is there nothing's original that you can just do anything because,
No, there's, you get inspired. If it's like trying on clothes in a thrift shop.
Right.
Same thing. I mean, it's clothes that obviously someone doesn't need.
Right.
But at one time really liked what he had, and took care of it enough that you can sell it again.
Or he died, and his
old lady
what I'm saying? Gave it.
And so like I shop at thrift shops all the time.
Me too. I love them.
It's a museum, and then you can see what lasted, what didn't last.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing as material. I mean, that's the toughest thing in the world. That's why writers are having a hard time now on strike, because they're the ones that come up with the material, but they're the ones that never get paid, properly.
Well, also they get stolen from a lot. I mean, I'll swear the day I die, I wrote a script with a friend, and we pitched it. We pitched it at HBO when we pitched a few places, and it was a couple years later, almost the exact same thing came on FX. It was called The Sons of Anarchy, And we had pitched it, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I mean, stuff does get, go prove it and go, you can't.
The truth is, everything has a time where it's going to evolve into something more, and we've all been involved with that. And that's what stand-up is all about. Stand-up is being able to have enough material that you can talk forever,
Yeah.
Regardless of what the situation is.
Tommy, let me know. I want to hit a thrift store with you, man. That's my
What?
favorite thing to do. Let's hit a thrift store together. I hit them all the time, man. I love thrift stores. Imagine walking in the thrift store with Tommy. It was like, well, we just gotta be like, they'll be like, man, he, you know.
I think you're his bodyguard.
And
I
you talk,
know.
and then you talk like Cheech.
And then you
really
talk like
confuse
Cheech.
everybody.
They'll go, they'll go, they'll
where's
go,
the
holy
G vest, man?
Well,
they'll go, holy shit, what happened to Cheech?
my first time on stage as a stand-up solo, it happened the night after Rodney King got beat.
Oh
Ooh,
man,
that's a tough one.
And so I had to do a Rodney King bit, you know, because it just happened. And so I said, you notice, you know, when someone's on TV, the fact that they're on TV is more important. The fact is more important than what they're on TV for.
Yeah.
And you know, just the fact that they're on TV. And so I did a whole bit about a mother seeing their son beating the shit out of Rodney King. Yeah, that's my son there. No.
Yeah.
There he is.
He's
That's
famous. You know?
That's
the one,
it.
no, the one with the
He
pipe.
looks
The one with
good.
the
Oh,
pipe.
he's not eating. He looks too skinny.
Oh,
You know?
that's funny. Did it work though? Did it go over?
Well, I did the bid, and then I get a response from the audience. The
I
guy
bet.
goes, "Hey, where's Cheech?"
No, it's fuck you, right? That's the way. That's the polite way to say fuck you.
My favorite Rodney King story is the day of the riots. I was flying LA to do that TV show Comic Strip Live, and Fox Studios was supposed to be picking me up. And I get there, and of course, there's nobody there, right? And we're flying in from New York, and the pilot says we're gonna have to change the runway because they're shooting at the planes.
Holy
Right?
Shooting at the planes.
So all of a sudden, I call Fox Studio, right? The emergency number, and nobody's there. And this is what I get. Hi, thank you for calling Fox Studio. We're in the process of evacuation. I hope this hasn't caused you any inconvenience. Perfect.
I did a Rodney King inspired joke in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I almost got attacked. Well, a guy got pissed off in the audience. The joke was, so I thought I'd do my girlfriend a favor and I'd do the laundry. So I'm doing it, and she comes running down the stairs. She goes, "No!" I mean, screaming her ass off. "You can't mix the colors with the whites." I'm like, calm down. It's laundry, not Los Angeles.
Oh,
And they got pissed at that one. Oof.
Did he laugh?
Huh?
I did.
Some people laugh. And one guy stood up and said, "That's bullshit." He was an African American guy. He goes, "That's bullshit. You can't talk about that." I go, "It's just a joke. It's a parody, you know." Yeah.
Well, I was in Detroit when OJ got acquitted,
yeah.
Right.
Oh,
and so I was doing a black club in Detroit, and my thing was OJ got acquitted because the jury thought DNA meant that quit it.
Oh, that's bad. Oh my
And the
god.
club owner come running over and start bitching and moaning about it, you know.
Man, you got balls, boy. I tell you.
wow! I couldn't.
I
No.
said, well, it's true.
Yeah.
The club
My
came running
hardest
over.
one was I remember I was doing some freaking bowling alley in Jersey. You know, when you do stand up, you work these elite places.
Yeah, I've done them.
And it was this bowling alley, and they had a screen down and they were showing the news, and it was like the first Scud missile had just hit Israel, and they're doing all this stuff, and then they put the screen up and they go, "Okay, are you guys ready for the comedy night?" You know. I wish I got hit by the Scud
the
missile.
best, and you guys know the story. The best was I was working a cruise ship, right? And there was, this is this is terrible. But there's this guy Andy Andrews, who's a stand-up comic, and this is when everyone first had video cameras in the 70s, where they were the size of like suitcases on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So back then, you'd pull into Nassau, and these kids would dive for coins. People would throw coins off, and they would dive in the water and get them. So the kids were on the dock waiting, and they went to tie up the ship. And I mean, this is a tragic story. And the line snapped and cut this kid in half on the dock.
Ooh.
And they had to airlift him off. I mean, it was horrible, right?
Ooh.
And of course, these people are videotaping and everything. So that night, the cruise director comes out, this English guy with an ascot, and he goes, "All right, welcome to the show." He goes, "Just got to say that Unfortunately, the little chap today at 3:05 passed away on the dock. We have his information at the purses if you'd like to send him them condolences. But once again, the little boy did pass away. Now, here to make you laugh, Andy Andrews.
Oh,
We were like, oh my God.
oh, that's just
Oh my
terrible.
God.
The sad thing is they had to airlift him twice. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, it was not
boy.
good.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, geez, I was on the ship during 9/11, and the staff captain called me and said, "I want you to do a comedy show," and I go, "No, I'm not doing it. We left New York. I'm not doing a comedy show on
Yeah.
9/11. Get a priest or something to do a service." And that's what he ended up doing. And then he came up to me and he goes, "Oh, I got so many comments saying thank you so much for not doing a comedy show." He was from Austria. It's like,
Yeah.
the show must go on.
Yeah.
yeah, show must go on. Let's
Well,
do some comedy.
My wife and her friend Nancy Reed, she's a stand-up comic, and my wife was just beginning to be, and so her and Nancy Reed were going around doing open mic nights.
Right.
And so then 9/11 hit, and they're they're comedians. Oh yeah, that's too bad. Anyway, what time do we go on?
Yeah.
And so they show up in Nashville, and the club owner goes, "Yeah, can I help you?" And they said, "Well, open mic night, right?" And they said, "You got to be kidding."
Oh my God.
That's when I knew my wife was going to be a comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You know what? I just
I
wanted
don't
to ask.
remember the comic's name. He's from New York. His first name is Tom. 6 months after the Challenger, he was doing this big show up in New Hampshire, and he was killing. It was for like schools. There was all these different schools and teachers, but there was one table where he was getting heckled by the most vicious, drunk, women. They were unmerciful. And finally he snapped and he went, "You know what? I think you should have been on that shuttle instead of Krista McAuliffe."
Ooh.
And the place went berserk because that was her school.
Ah.
He didn't know that.
Oh.
And he said he had to hide in the kitchen till everybody was gone before he could leave. He was scared for his life.
Anyway, let's end on a higher.
Wait.
note. I know we're
No,
coming
I got
up.
one more story.
John's got a high
I got
note.
John's got
I
one
got
more
one great
disaster
story.
story.
I like.
No, this
My
is
leg
funny.
was cut
This
off
is
right
fun.
before the
You
show.
can respect. You can.
I had to go on bleeding.
Shut up. You can respect this as a comic. I had a friend of mine who went to law. He was blind. He had glaucoma. He went to law school in NYU, became a lawyer, and used to smoke pot because he said he would see dots in front of his eyes. When he smoked pot, they were in color. But anyway, he came to see me at the comic strip in New York once, and he wore like dark glasses because his eyes were really, like almost like Village of the Damn eyes. They were like white eyes.
Yeah.
And so he liked to wear the sunglasses so he didn't freak people out. He had the most beautiful girlfriend in the world, and he'd always go to me, "My girlfriend's gorgeous, right? What a waste," right? He had the greatest sense of humor. So he goes to see me at the comic strip, and he's sitting in the front row, right? It's like sitting like, hey, he didn't want to sit in the front, but he's about 10 people from the front. And he takes off the sunglasses because he doesn't want to wear sunglasses in the comedy club because he figures that's going to be a disaster. So he takes off the glasses and he's like just kind of looking down at the table. This audition act comes out and goes, "Hey, you, look at me," And he says, and he kind of like shakes his head and kind of looks, but doesn't want to freak the guy out. And the guy starts just giving him shit. Like, "What are you, too good to look at the comic when he's on stage? I'm saying, look at me." And my friend stands up and looks at him and goes, "I'd love to look at you, but I'm blind." And the place, and this guy just melted. He just went, and he walked off stage like in a frenzy, and the people in the audience just applauded. It was like they just applauded. And when he left the comic strip, the guys who own the comic strip said that was the greatest moment in this club ever. That guy was a dick.
Oh, and he couldn't handle it.
Can you imagine that? That's a story he'll remember the rest of his life.
Oh.
So what high note did you have, Mike? You had a high note?
Well, no, I wanted to ask about the cruise shoes, because there's
Okay.
one question I had. I like was at the website earlier, but I passed right by those. I wanted to know now, do those have THC, or are those
Yes.
those have THC?
They have THC, and it's like we used to get pinners when I was playing music. Pinners were like marijuana dust joints.
Right.
They were so skinny, and the dealers
Like
would-
lollipop sticks.
Yeah, they would sell them for $1 a piece, but it was enough high, or
Right.
just the smell would give you a memory jolt to get through the night. Playing music. And the cruise chews have got about the same amount of THC in them.
Because I
And
use
so
the
whatever
nano
you're
stuff
doing-
that has no THC.
Yeah, well, if you're doing podcasts or anything like that, they're incredible.
Yeah.
Because there's no memory blanks. Yeah, you kind of stay on track.
Right.
A little bit too much. Like I did a little bit too much, and I will run into areas of my life now where I don't know what I'm doing, where I'm at, or what I'm supposed to do.
That's my life, man.
And you
I
guys
love-
you
I
you
love
go to
the road.
www.tommychongshemp.com. That's where you can get them.
What's that again?
Really?
It's
Is that it?
www.tommychongshemp.com.
'Cause
Wow.
Yeah, that they're really good. And creative wise, it's good for me carving. Because my eyesight is getting so bad that I'm starting to carve like Picasso type looking.
That's not a bad thing. It's-
my seeing how things are, it's changed a little bit.
yeah.
And so the stuff's looking good. Let's see. Here's one of the characters
Nice.
that's sort of like,
That looks like Howard Hessman. No, I'm kidding.
or here's this was just a piece of wood, and I'm looking at it, what it could be. What should I carve out of it?
Right.
And then I realized it's so weird looking. I'll just use what it is.
It looks like a miniature stump, is what it looks like.
We've used,
And look at it. It's so interesting.
yeah. You can't name anything we haven't used to smoke weed out of. Man.
You go,
We-
hey,
Uh,
you go,
Oh, yeah.
hey man, did I carve it
That's the
already?
that
oh,
looks
it's a
pretty cool, though,
pipe.
man. That looks like a
Oh,
Popeye pipe.
Yeah.
Uncle Popeye, I'm gonna have some Tommy Chong CBD.
I love-
Gonna
I
get
love-
my favorite anymore.
I love all these. Oh, and listen, here's these are fish clubs. Like you go fishing, you get a big
Right.
salmon or something. You want to convince it to stay in the boat.
Convince it. Let me talk to you for a minute, fish. Come here.
Mike wants to borrow that.
Yeah.
Yes,
I actually
that's
have
a
one.
big money.
We call it a shillelagh. I have one.
I wanted to do these as a pipe,
Right.
but I didn't want to be corny and make it a pipe because it's a club.
Yeah.
It's not a
It's a
pipe.
shillelagh.
But I wanted to make.
You gotta know you would.
So what I did, I put a hole in the handle, okay? And so then I'll put the joint on one end here, and then I'll light it up.
Oh, he's doing it.
And
I
go
love it.
and go caveman style.
Man.
No, but if I want to put it down somewhere, I don't have to worry about getting an ashtray or anything.
And
You know?
hey, Tommy, and you don't have to worry about losing it.
Yeah, I know.
That's it. That's it.
And if somebody tries to take it, you just hit him over the head.
It's 30 pounds. You don't have to worry about losing
That's
it.
it. If you gotta discipline somebody, or if it's a fish.
A fish.
You land a fish.
Excuse me, Mr. Fish. Let me talk to you for a minute
turn it
over here.
around, And see what I did? I put a set of knuckles here.
Oh my
That's
God! Yeah,
some knuckles.
it actually looks like a bone at first.
You
It
must
looks
be
like
like
a
me,
bone
man. I
with a
got my
joint on
garage,
it.
my
I
garage
thought
workshop.
it was from my hip replacement.
That's what I thought too at first. I thought it was John's hip.
And here's a smaller version. See,
That looks like a dog bone
see
almost.
see the teeth? I got a little.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And again, you want to do it like a nice nice way of smoking.
I'm gonna use a still from this as our thumbnail so people can see it.
Here's an idea: get a harmonica, man, and just put it in there so you can actually smoke and play at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I would just hit one note and I'd be stoned on that together.
Well, listen, I'm a big supporter of Special Olympics,
Right.
Oh, cool.
Right.
so I'm used to all these questions.
Yeah. I'm surprised you recognized me without the helmet.
My niece is a world champion Special Olympics weightlifter.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, cool.
She's got medals. She's won medals, everything. She's a little stocky little thing, and she can deadlift. I don't know how much, but she's strong as an ox.
Wow.
Wow.
Remind us not to mess with her.
We have a good friend on the show, Eddie Bartonelli, who was big Special Olympics guy. He was in that movie Dead Ringer
Oh,
with
yeah.
Johnny Knoxville, the one who goes, "You scratch my CD."
Oh yeah.
He's really funny. He's really funny.
Oh,
My daughter's a writer, and she, in fact, she's in the middle of this movie now, and he's in it, and it's called Amy and the Orphan, and it's about special needs kids. It's really cool. It's funny, really
Oh, I
funny,
love it.
really funny.
Yeah, I've grown up all my life with special people. Every school I went to, they always had a special class. The special class, that's what they call
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was usually just me sitting alone in the room.
it.
Well, guys, what do you
know what? They
say?
didn't diagnose us back then. It was like, today I'm sure they would have said I had, ADD or all of these different things.
No, ADT is your alarm system.
No, you had VD. You had VDD.
I had VDT. Yeah.
No, back in my day when you went to school, that was like going into hostile territory.
Oh.
Yeah.
And, my brother was 3 years older than me, and so he was tough as nails.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how tough he was. He played industrial league hockey.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Where
That
did
sounds
you?
tough.
That's the guys that were too mean and too dirty to play in the NHL.
Yeah, there's no puck. They just hit each other with sticks.
You grew up in Canada, right?
And
Yeah.
And when a fight broke out, the referees went home.
Yeah, I bet. Well, Tommy, we want to thank you for actually, this is our 4th season premiere, and we couldn't think of anybody better and who we love more to have on today. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Are we done?
It's so cool to hang out with you, man. We love you,
Yeah.
Tommy.
Yeah, it's
Oh, thank
wonderful.
you. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you so much, Tommy. It's an honor, really, man.
Okay.
I know. That's just like we've been on for like over an hour. It's
An
just
hour and
sort of
20
like-
minutes, and it went like
Yeah.
like a millisecond.
Well, I gotta go pee in myself right
All
now.
right.
All right, man. Thank you.
I don't
again,
mean
Tommy.
to.
Neither do I, but
I try
hey.
to tell my wife, listen, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it goes now.
Well, we'd love to have you back on again, especially as you get closer.
Yeah, anytime, man.
And that
Yeah,
movie.
when you're making the movie, man, we'd love to promote it for you.
Hey, whenever, man. Whenever you need me.
And don't
Very
forget
cool.
the yarn. Don't forget the yarn for your movie. That would have been kicking it.
Yeah.
Little clips on the yarn so you can swing it back and forth. And
Oh yeah. Hold the hanging down.
yeah.
I'll remember that. Okay,
Cool.
take care.
All right.
Thanks,
Hey,
Tommy.
Thanks.
All
Stay
right.
well. Stay
Thanks.
well,
man.
my friend.
How do I get out of here now? There we go.
So
Tommy
cool.
Chong, everybody.
Oh,
Tommy
oh,
Chong,
wasn't that
what an
great?
amazing show.
Oh yeah, and that's it. All right. So as far as our trivia question from last week, the question was, who was the first choice to play Mike Brady on the Brady Bunch? Nobody. got
Donald
the-
Trump.
Well, okay, you got the right answer. So you got no close. The correct answer, which nobody
Tommy
got.
Chong.
No, it wasn't Tommy Chong. But the next question's about Tommy.
Adolf Hitler. No, good.
No. The correct answer was, and we mentioned
Alan
him-
Bursky.
Oh my God,
Alan Bursky.
guys.
Talk about somebody who nobody knows. Okay.
No, it was Gene.
He was
Hackman.
on.
Was
It
who?
was
Gene who?
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman.
Really?
First choice to play Mike
Could-
Brady on the
I-
Brady Bunch.
Oh,
Now,
that's
I know
the
why
father,
he didn't
right?
get it. I could never
Yes.
see. I could
Oh,
never
that's the
see him
father.
as.
Father. Yeah, the
I could
father.
never see him as Daddy Brady.
He was supposed to be Daddy Brady. That was the answer. Nobody got it. Remember, I'm going to ask a question now. To answer it, go to the Big Bad Broadcast at gmail.com with the answer, and you could win.
Nothing.
You could win. Yeah. Okay.
Hey man,
You can win nothing,
You could win
but you'll
some
get your
smoke
name
with
on
Tommy.
the air. So.
win a
You
smoke
wear a
with Tommy
Tom-
Chong.
You wear a Tommy
Right.
Chong club.
And this week's question is, on that 70s show, what business did Leo, that's Tommy Chong's character, own? That's the question.
Dog catcher.
No,
No,
don't guess now.
The audience is gonna.
And the
know.
answer, and remember, if you have the answer, go to the Big Bad Broadcast at gmail.com.
All right, and catch us
Now,
on
John, we
Spotify.
can-
Catch us on friggin' Apple Podcasts. Catch us on Podcast Playground. Catch us everywhere you watch
Google,
your podcast.
Apple.
Google. We're everywhere, man.
Audible.
We are everywhere.
Thank you, Miss Calabash, wherever
And
you are.
thank you again to Tommy Chong for making our fourth season.
Yeah,
premiere
that was
special.
great, man. He
Yeah.
was really great.
Now,
All
I'm
right.
gonna eat
Cut it
some liver
down.
snaps. Thank you.
Shut it down a minute.
Shut it down.
Bye.
Bye.